In this section, we're going to talk about contacts and searching for properties for our contacts. Now, in class 1, we were talking about saving searches, and what we were doing was saving the criteria, the search criteria. Here, what we're going to be doing is saving the actual results of the search and then sharing those automatically with our clients. So before we start, we're going to make a little change to our settings. We're going to go to Contacts, Manage Groups, and you'll see that you have a number of different groups here. And you can create as many as you want. You see, you come up here to top left and click on Create New Group. So you could have a group, for example, for your soccer team, or another group for your church choir, or whatever group you want to have, so that you can keep your prospects categorized. What we're going to do here is select prospects, which is kind of the default group, and we're going to select Assign by Default. So you just check the box there and click Save. What that means is that when you save a prospect from now on, it's automatically going to go into that group, and it will save you a lot of time later. Let's talk for a second about contacts and prospects, because the MLS actually contains a contact manager, and if you used it as a contact manager, I wouldn't recommend it. A contact, for example, would be your escrow officer or your loan officer, whereas obviously prospects would be your clients. I would suggest that you probably are better off keeping your contacts in some other system and using this just for your clients, so we're not going to get hung up on the distinction there. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to go and create a search. Let's pretend that we're on the phone with our client. They've called in and they tell us they're looking for a house. You can do any type of search you want here. You can do a map search, a standard search. I'm just going to use a standard search. So our client tells us that they're looking for a residential home. They want a single family. They want to be in South Pasadena, so I'm going to go to zip code and I'm going to put in 91030, which is the zip code for South Pasadena. Notice that active is selected by default. We're going to come down to price. They tell us that they want to pay between $650 and $950, and they tell us that they absolutely have to have at least 3 bedrooms. So in the left hand column on bedrooms, we're going to put in the number 3. We're then going to go to preview count, and it's going to show us that we have 5 properties. Now, we're not actually going to go and look at the properties now. This is the point in the conversation where you say, you know, if you share some contact information with me, I'll be able to automatically email these to you. So you say, okay, Mr. Prospect, what's your name? And we're going to open the options pane. Remember, we do that in the right hand side of the screen. And this time we're going to use the middle option, which is save as a new prospect. Okay, and I'm going to name this Webb Simpson. He just won the US Open. Notice that I typed it in, capitalizing the first letter of each name, just as though I was writing a letter, and you'll see why this is important in a while. So we're going to click on Save, and what's going to happen here is we're going to come to the contact information page. Now you'll see that there are only a couple of fields here that are mandatory. Those are the ones in red with the asterisks, and one of those is groups, and because we went and specified prospects as our default group, it means we don't have to worry about filling it in each time. Now you have lots of different fields you can put in here. You can put in company, etc. One thing I do like to change is the display as. The default is last name, first name. Personally, I prefer first name, last name. Now let's say that Webb Simpson has a partner, and I know he's happily married, but I'm going to say it's Webb Simpson and Tiger Woods. Let's say they're buying this house together. Okay, this is where you would add the partner. And again, the reason we're doing this is that people like to see their names, they like to be recognized, and you'll see that once we've actually created our search, they will appear on the search as Webb Simpson and Tiger Woods. We're going to scroll down. Here obviously is where you would put in your email address. So I'm going to put in web at CG Cells. That's my domain. It means the emails will come to me. Obviously you would put in your client's name. And let's say that we're going to add the CC, so we're going to do tiger at cgcells.com. Again, you would put in their actual email address. You can put in an alternate email, but you can only actually send to 2 emails. So the first 2 emails are the important ones. Notice you can put in phone numbers and what have you. Now, the initial contact date, I would say this is a worthwhile field. And it's not automatic, but it's only 2 mouse clicks. If you click on calendar and then click on the word today, it's going to put in the date that you enter this record. This isn't important when you have 2 or 3 records, but you will get to a point where you have 60, 90, 80, 100, how many, who knows. But you'll look at your list one day and you'll go, who the heck is Webb Simpson? And knowing when you first spoke to him could be a very useful tool as to who he is. Okay, and here we have notes. Now, I'm not encouraging you to write mean things here. This is where you remember who he is. So let's say that we met at an open house on Boston, 2 dogs and a parrot named Jake. Okay, so whatever it is that's going to remind you who Webb Simpson is. Okay, now all the real action on this page actually happens in the next section. That's when we come down to the prospect options. Notice right now that everything is grayed out. Okay, so it's grayed out. Notice what happens once I check auto prospecting. It now allows me to send email to the agent, and when I say yes to that, now it allows me to send email to the prospect, and now I can send email to the client. So what have we just done? We have told the system that we want to automatically send new listings that match our search criteria to our clients via email, and that's very powerful. But there's a couple of things wrong with it. Number one, it's not going to do anything with the 5 properties we just found. And number two, when they get their email, it's just going to be a link to an email. It's not going to be that powerful. So I'm going to tell you that you will never ever stop here when you're working with the public. You're always going to go to this next box, which is Client Portal. When we check that, you'll see that we've got a bunch of choices, but the 2 main choices here are grayed out. So our work here is done. We're going to come up to the top left and click Save, and the system's going to say, hey, by the way, you have 5 listings. Do you remember you found them? So let's go and view the listings. Now, when we go to view the listings, this is going to look, well, don't you love live demonstrations? It's not going to look at all like it should look. Okay, let's see what went wrong there. Okay, it should have gone to, okay, okay. As I say, live demonstrations are so fun. All right, it should have gone to a page that looked like this. Okay, so basically what we're in here is a 1-line grid, and you can tell that because it says 1-line grid up here. But it's actually subtly different to the 1-line grid because we now have at the top left here 4 tabs. We never had that before. This is a feature of the prospect cart. So right now all 5 listings are in the newly matched. We have no agent recommended, no saved, no rejected. And then up here at the top right we have Webb Simpson and Tiger Woods. It's not blue, but it is underlined. It's a hyperlink. So when we click on that, it's going to take us to our contact manager. And when we scroll down the contact manager to the prospecting options, you will see that now the options under Client Portal are both available. And the first thing we're going to do is email a Client Portal invitation. Now, watch me as I do this. I click on this. Do you see anywhere that you can change any of the email? No. The only thing it gives you is an email will be sent. You have no options. When we say OK, well, heck, there it goes. It's already gone. And your only option is to close it. So the point here is that you can, my mouse just disappeared, there it is that you can only send the default email. And we'll come back and we'll talk about that in just a second. All right, so we're going to close that. Now the other option you have is to preview the Client Portal. So I'm going to click on Preview, and then we're actually going to go through to our next class where I'll talk about the Client Portal.